right, so this is a very different story than the media had us believe over and over again. They repeatedly said that Brian Sicknick was bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher. What is your level of confidence in our national media today, Joe?
I mean, it's very low. I think our national confidence in our mainstream media and then in the institutions really at the government level that are supposed to keep us safe and then provide us with accurate information, I think confidence in those institutions is at an all-time low. And this story is a great example. So we were told that he was beaten to death by an angry mob of Trump supporters. And since that day, anyone who was involved in that mob or even had the audacity to question another huge media narrative, the election of 2020, we've been labeled as insurrectionists, fringy people, or terrorists. And so there's a whole set of labeling that goes along with this accusation. So I think confidence is at an all-time low, and it's for good reason. This isn't just conspiracy theories. We've been lied to repeatedly and over again. Those lies have real consequences.
What's it like for someone like yourself who fought for our nation? Your wife died in Syria. Some people might be familiar with her story. She was also in the military. And then, they call you a fringe guy, a radical, a kooky member of the far right. How does that feel?
I mean, at this point, it's almost just par for the course, but it's very serious and it's very insulting. There's many of us that are Trump supporters that are on the political right or just are conservatives or just have the audacity to question narratives. Maybe even someone of no political affiliation that just thinks there's widespread discrepancies with the way the election went down, and there's been widespread discrepancies with the way that the narrative surrounding January 6th has been portrayed. And by asking those questions and pointing out where the media and the government has lied to us, we're being labeled as terrorists, insurrectionists. People have been kicked off social media. People have had their ability to make a living taken away from them. And then those that are still serving in the government, we see that there's new protocols being put in place with the potential of having their security clearances revoked. Yeah. There's a whole culture now from the top down, the Biden administration, going after people that have a different political ideology of them. So it's very scary to see our country change this fast.
Now, earlier, I got to correct this. I said that you were the Republican candidate for Washington's 3rd District. I should clarify and say you have a primary coming up against Jamie Butler Herrera, who did, in fact, vote to impeach President Trump based on information like what was being reported by the media about Brian Sicknick. I mean, have you talked to her about this yet? Has your campaign sent anything out yet? Has she spoken about her impeachment vote for impeachment now that we know that Brian Sicknick was not, in fact, killed by Trump supporters?
My knowledge, she hasn't said anything since the narrative surrounding January 6th and Officer Sicknick has come into full view and been exposed for the divisive narrative that it truly is. So she hasn't said really anything about that. She definitely used the riot of January 6th to justify testifying against President Trump in the impeachment trial. She claimed that she had some sort of third-hand information that she overheard a phone call, and then she also voted for his impeachment. So she has doubled and tripled down on this narrative that is now crumbling once it's been given some actual due diligence. So I would love to hear from Jamie Herrera Butler on how she feels now that this narrative is being exposed.
Yeah, we would love to hear from her, too. In fact, we will ask her if she would support an impeachment resolution against Maxine Waters, or if she's going to support the censure movement against Maxine Waters, even though Republicans can't really do much at this point because they're in the minority. Joe, keep up the good work. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, that district out there in Washington State, the last sliver of Pacific Coast in Republican hands in Washington State. Something to think about. All right, we'll be right back with a look at what else is ahead later today on Newsmax TV. Don't go away.